Hey everyone. In this video we're going to talk about how to be more efficient with your operating system. What I'll be demoing will be on Windows, but you should be able to find equivalents on your own operating system. I'll probably sound like a broken record depending on what order you're watching these videos in, but what I'm showing you is what I've deemed to be important, and you might need to find what you find important or where you find yourself spending a lot of time. A large part of being more efficient with your operating system is filling in gaps that the operating system might have left. And you can do this via automation. I've listed some technologies out here, but in my mind, they boil down to two things. One is macros. So for example, being able to move a window to a specific location at a specific size, you might not have that capability in your operating system. And the other is text expansions. So for example, let's say you type out EVS and it turns into the words environment variables. Without further ado, let's get to the demo. The first thing I want to talk about is switching windows using Windows key and then a number. So for example, Chrome is my first program on my taskbar. So if I press Windows key 1, it's going to switch to that. If I hold Windows key and then press 1 twice, it'll switch to the second Chrome window that I have open. The third program is Visual Studio Code. So I can switch between them like this, do some development if I need to, pop back over here and refresh, toggle over to this, maybe open a new second program with Windows key Shift 2. This is why it's very important to curate at least the first 4 or 5 programs that you have on this bar. They should probably be the most frequently used programs that you have. A lot of what I end up doing on Windows is just managing windows. And you can do that using Windows key left to move a window farther left or have it snap to the left side of the screen, Windows key right to do the opposite of that, and Windows key up to maximize a window. You can also use Windows key shift left and right to move them between different monitors if you have them. This next shortcut works across the whole operating system. Some specific programs may override it, but it's double clicking and then dragging. What this lets you do is select only by words. So you can see I can't select just an individual letter if I want to. This is surprisingly helpful while coding. And triple click and drag will let you only select by line. So now here you can see that I can't actually select individual words anymore. I can only select lines. This one I wanted to throw in quickly because of how frequently this comes up. For anything with an address bar like Explorer or a browser, if you press Alt-D, you will get to the address bar and you can start typing. That's it for some of the miscellaneous tips I wanted to share. This next part is going to be about text expansion, and the program that I use for this is called AutoHotkey, but again, that earlier slide had all of the different technologies that you could use. Text expansion is just typing something. So for example, backtick TRX. And then when I press space or enter, it will type out a full word. And you can control however you want these to work, so that backtick is arbitrary. It could be a backtick. It could just be something like this. So for example, I type TEH and I press space and it corrects it to the. The way that this is done through AutoHotkey at least is very straightforward. I think the biggest suggestions I have around this are around typing symbols that you might not remember the codes to. So for example, I can type backtick UR and get to an upper right arrow. For typing long words that you don't feel like typing, and for typos, things like the and it and, these were very helpful given the amount of times I mistyped those words. As I mentioned, I'm using AutoHotkey for text expansion, but it does so much more than that. It can automate practically any part of the operating system. So let's take a look at some examples here. If I press Control-Alt-M, what it's going to do is get the current window, make sure that it's restored, and then size it to a particular location. So let's try this out now. And you can see that it's sized just to the edge of my camera. So I use this when I'm streaming or doing demos. This one, when I type backtick ref, so it kind of looks like it would be a text expansion, but in this case, it's actually doing a script here. It's going to type out the word reference, then highlight it, and then send Control-K and Control-V. So what does that do? Well, when you type out text in a program like OneNote or Google Docs and press Control-K, it opens up the link dialog. And then Control-V is paste, of course. So what this does is if I just type backtick ref, it will type out reference and then make it a link to whatever was on my clipboard. And this is how I can type out references in my notes so easily. There's one last thing I want to show you that really shows the power of what this can do, although this is not very exciting. So I have this special mouse and it's got modes on it that I can set. And when I press enter here, I don't have my hands on the keyboard, it pops up the mouse dialog and then changes the mode for me. And that's all done with AutoHotkey. There are so many things that you can do with it that it might be hard for you to even figure out where you could slot that in immediately. But yeah, window management, you could add any other commands. You could actually pop up special user interfaces. I've used it in the past to get a list of sort of bookmarks on my computer that I would be able to navigate to quickly or open programs. There's a lot that you can do, but again, it just fills in the gaps from something you might not find your operating system doing already. To wrap up, your operating system will do a lot for you out of the box, and then for anything else, you'll want to automate those things. So for example, showing that mouse configuration, it navigated through menus for me and clicked particular buttons. Your operating system might not give you a way, or a particular program that you have might not give you a way to do that, and that's where you'd fill in those gaps yourself. Hope you learned something watching this. Thank you very much.